Hello. Well, I got up this morning and I had a thought. And my thought was I'm going to do a video called Adventures on Your Doorstep. I will explain. I'm literally just back, 2 days ago, from a 3-day tour in the Scottish Highlands and beyond. Did a good few 100 miles. Hours and hours on the Meteor, and it was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. I put a video out last week about that. So it was brilliant stuff. But even after 2 days of being back and not riding the bike, mainly because of the weather, I was already getting itchy feet and borderline desperation about getting back out on the bike again. I've got to be honest, the Meteor is the first bike I've owned in God knows how long, years, that has made me want to ride it more and more, and if I'm not riding it, I miss riding it. I think we are all guilty, I know I certainly am guilty of this, of thinking that if you're not, riding out to some far away destination or some exotic location, that it's somewhat of a lesser experience if you're travelling more local. So my remit today, quite a simple one really. I've got 2 or 3 hours to get out and about. Obviously can't go too far, but I still want to have a nice little trip. See some nice things, some interesting places, some nice scenery, and hopefully create a couple of nice memories. I always remember the quote by the American philosopher Ralph Emerson. It's not the destination, it's the journey. That's what I'm sticking to today anyway. Just approaching the A82. To my left is the Scottish Highlands, and to my right, where I'm going now, is heading towards Glasgow. I'm not actually going to Glasgow, I'm going to go to Dumbarton and have a little mosey around Dumbarton Castle. That's the rough plan. I say rough plan because it may well change. I normally like to find some cafe or something to stuff my fat face, but I'm going to try to avoid that today, as I'm getting a little bit portly. Talking of which, there's one there already. But no, I'm not stopping. I will resist. So this is Dumbarton Castle on my right there. I hate the way they put them bloomin' horrible metal fences. Spoils the ambience of the place. I've just seen a sign closed on Mondays, and today is Monday. Doesn't look like I'll be going to Dumbarton Castle after all. I'm not quite sure how I ended up here, but this is Dumbarton Football Club. Oh well, I like me football, you never know. Next time I'm up I might pop in for a match. Some quaint little views over the River Clyde. And there's Dumbarton Castle in the background. All closed. Not to worry. Maybe it's next time. I was just passing and I seen a sign for the Scottish Maritime Museum. I know sod all about shipbuilding, but you never know. Might be of interest. Some type of steam engine, I guess. I think this is where they made scaled down models of the actual ships for testing prior to manufacturing them. I'm not quite sure if I was meant to press this button, but I did. And it sounds like a little duck. Should have brought me rubber ducky. And lots of things I have no clue what they are. But an impressive model just along here. My God, the workmanship in that. And this is where they used to test the model boats for buoyancy and amongst other things. I guess this is where the skilled engineers done their stuff, making models, etc. I guess if I was employed here in the day, I would have probably been sacked within a couple of hours. I wouldn't have a clue. Apparently this was one of the main men, doing main men type of things. Very nice. I'm seriously impressed with the models. So just heading out of the little town of Helensburgh I'm going to go down the Glenfruin road, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I've done this route so many times in the past, probably lost count to be honest, whether on a motorbike or sometimes cycling. And because of the amount of frequency I've done it, I kind of thought it wasn't really worth videoing it. And okay, it's not epic scenery like, I don't know, say the Scottish Highlands, but it's still pretty nice. I do think we're very lucky living in the UK. I mean, it's a relatively small country, but there's so many beautiful places to visit. I mean, you know, in the south you've got Cornwall, Devon, the New Forest. You know, going a bit further north you've got the Peak District, the Lake District, Wales, Northumberland, and of course Scotland, one of my personal favourites. I think it's so easy to get caught up with the notion that you've got to be miles and miles away from home to have a proper adventure or a proper trip, but I'm not sure that's always the case. I'm certainly enjoying the familiarity of it all, and even more so enjoying being on my little Meteor. Just pulled over here. This is the site of a battle going back, I think it was in the 17th century, the Battle of Glenfruin. It's just amazing to think that this place is such a tranquil and peaceful area. You know, that a few hundred years ago it was a site of death and destruction between two rival clans. It would be nice to think, as a human race, we have learned from it, but we haven't. I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but looking at the guns and the weaponry, I'm not hanging about to find out. Thank you very much. And as for my little Meteor, well, I'm not going to bang on too much about it. I've done other videos singing the praises of the Meteor, but needless to say, I'm massively enjoying the bike. In recent years, I've owned quite a lot of big touring bikes and adventure bikes, but I found, certainly in the last couple of years, I was starting to use them less and less and enjoying them less and less, mainly because of the weight. It become a bit tiresome. Maybe I'm just getting old. To me, the Little Royal Enfield is just a perfect bike for this sort of thing. I mean, I had a sort of 2-3 hour window where I could leave the house and just get out for a few hours and just enjoy it. I'm now at the wrong end of my 50s, but I feel quite lucky and privileged, I guess, that I'm still fit enough and have the inclination to want to do this type of thing. Like I said, when I left the doorstep this morning, I've only done probably around 55 miles, but it's been a lovely 55 miles. Massively enjoyed it. My point being, I can go out, have a few hours on the bike, enjoy the experience, and still be home for tea. That is the nuclear submarine base on my right there. Maybe that accounts for all the soldiers I seen a little while ago. Who knows? So my little trip out over the last sort of 2 or 3 hours has been, well, it's just been nice. Okay, it hasn't been the Swiss Alps or the Pyrenees or the Himalayas or Route 66. And okay, all them destinations, you know, are magnificent. I am actually planning to do a trip to the Himalayas, if not this year, probably next, on a Royal Enfield. That's my plan anyway. But my point is, sometimes you don't really need to go that far from home to have a really nice time. I think you've just got to do stuff in life that makes you happy, and stuff like this certainly makes me happy. And if for whatever reason you can't get away to some, I don't know, inverted commas, exotic location, you know, you may simply not have the time. There might be financial constraints, time issues, family issues. You may even lack the confidence in doing it. But I'm very content with today's ride. And just to finish off with a quote by Oscar Wilde: true contentment is not having everything, but in being satisfied with everything you have. Wise words from Oscar.